This video series attempts to provide an esoteric analysis of the Holy Scriptures, offering an antidote to the distortions promoted by literalist and uninitiated readings. Rooted in the principles of Empyrean dragon magic and aligned with the Illuminist mission of advancing humanity toward unity through rational spiritual gnosis, the series invites viewers to embark on a progressive, interpretive journey. Each new video builds upon the last, creating a cumulative hermeneutic architecture that reveals the Scriptures as a coded metaphysical narrative for magic and self-realization. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. Genesis 1:3. Previously, we have clarified how God, or Elohim, stands as the divine archetypal collective intelligence that gives rise to everything else. It is a unity of multiplicities, a unified field of minds, principles, and archetypes acting as one. Each individual mind, or monad, is a microcosmic projection of this unified Elohim, a fractal instance of divine totality, a node of God, of infinite potential. The notion of God's existence before everything else has been explained in the first video as the Aristotelian concept of the prime mover and the ontological concept of nothingness. This is not an absolute nothingness, since something can never arise from absolute nothingness, but an all-encompassing totality that includes and balances all potential states within its null point of origin, the tautological equation of 1 minus 1 equals 0. Perfectly explains this. The idea of creation is seen as a holographic projection of the absolute from unified oneness into multiplicity by an act of fragmentation. This fragmentation required the holographic projection of a dream world defined by both mental and physical domains of becoming. The heavens are the mental domain, and the earth is the space-time domain of becoming. God, as this unified field of minds, remains in the mental domain of being, of pure knowing and perfection. The transmission of this divine essence into the domains of becoming is facilitated through the operation of Fourier transforms, symbolizing the encoding of divine intelligence into perceptible structure and vibration. So far, the space-time domain is in a state of ideation and potential formation. It is formless and void, akin to a cosmic womb awaiting the gestation and emergence of differentiated life. The darkness that hovers over the deep, as referenced in the second verse, is symbolic of ignorance from divine selfhood and realization. It is the unconscious and unilluminated terrain of the mind before the illumination of gnosis and self-realization. Thus, the proclamation of "Let there be light" within this context cannot refer to physical illumination, as no source of material light has yet been instantiated. Rather, this light must be understood as a metaphor for the emergence of consciousness itself, the awakening of understanding, knowledge, and awareness. Just as darkness signifies the unconscious, light signifies the first ignition of gnosis, the illumination of the mind by the intelligence of the source. This light, intelligent understanding, must come before any creation. The second verse has ended with the words, "And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters." We have referred to this as the first scriptural movement, the stirring of conscious awareness within the universal mind, as well as the individual mind, over its oceanic depth. Thus, the creation of light can be seen as the first volitional transformation of the frequency domain into space-time representation. Imagine yourself entering a dark room. You don't know where you are or what is in the room. If there is noise, you cannot trace its source. What happens when you switch the lights on? You realize everything you need about the room. Similarly, this act of light's creation is the understanding, knowledge, and realization when an unconscious thought comes into conscious awareness. Only then divine order can be established. This is an invitation to become consciously aware of the contents of our minds to establish divine order within our lives. Light represents pure information and the transformation from thought to space-time representation. This space-time representation of mental frequency patterns is broken light. God's speech here is not literal. It is not done via any human language, but via the divine language of existence, mathematics. This is an ontological act of projection and transformation from basic thoughts into manifestation. That is why light, as the intelligent and conscious understanding, came after the bifurcation from the one into two domains of becoming, where both stand as a holographic projected matrix of the former pleroma of light, the domain of God's being. The oceanic depth of the undifferentiated collective unconscious is the raw potential of the mind before individuation or structure. The Spirit of God is aware of it. It allows reflection, observation, and organization, but not yet understanding. The light in Genesis 1 verse 3 is the light of nous, the illuminating principle of conscious intelligence, the clarity that is developed through the reflective gaze over the chaotic waters. This is the moment when structure begins to form with the matrix of becoming. In Jungian terms, the self begins to distill order from the unconscious field. Light is the first logos principle, and rightly so expressed via the power of the word, the creative thought of conscious intelligence. In Empyrean dragon magic, the magician becomes aware of the vast potential within him. With the power of will, he beholds the unconscious chaos in his mind, and through the light of logos, he brings conscious understanding, order, and realization of his potential, initiating the great work. It is important to understand that while verse 2 speaks about the stillness of ontological zero, verse 3 is all about the initiation of sinusoidal activity. The monad, as above, so below, begins thinking and creating structured frequencies in the domain of becoming through its dual aspect matrix of heavens and the earth. The manifestation of light is justification for a coordinated system of the mental and space-time domains of becoming. As they are necessary for propagation, it is the declaration that reality shall now become image, a projection from the frequency domain to the dimensional domain. The phrase, "let there be light," is equivalent to saying, "let there be sinusoidal activity, let the cosmic mind vibrate, let the intelligence of the monads illuminate the void." Be sure to watch the previous videos on this playlist. If you have enjoyed the video, please consider liking, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this to illuminate the world.